Hey smart people, this is me Nolan and welcome to Quantum Astronomy. Today I will tell you about the most important discovery in our humankind. If you make a top 10 discovery list, then it's one of them. It is as important as fire, metallic tools or wheel. Of course I'm talking about pi.
Nolan, what is pi?
I'm glad you asked that. Let's take a circle, measure its circumference and its diameter. The ratio of these two numbers is called pi.
Okay, but how do we measure pi?
Let's take a circle and draw a hexagon inside with sides length 1 unit. A regular hexagon can be divided into 6 equilateral triangles. So the diameter of the circle is 2. The perimeter of the hexagon is 6. The circumference of the circle must be greater than the perimeter. So pi must be greater than 6 divided by 2 or 3. Now draw a square around the circle. Its perimeter is 8, which is bigger than the circumference of the circle. So pi must be smaller than 8 divided by 2 or 4.
And it gives pi between 3 and 4. But we know pi is 3.1 for something. How do we get that?
Then in 250 BC, the famous naked running scientific-minded Eureka saying guy Archimedes came to play. He bisects the hexagon into dodecagons. Then he calculated the perimeter and finds the lower bound of pi. Then he do the same with another dodecagon and calculated the upper bound of the pi. Now the calculation became complex because he has to deal with square root and square root of square roots, but he did it with 12 gon and then 24 gon and 48 gon and at last up to 96 gon to have a value of pi between 3.1408 and 3.1429. Before he died, when his homeland was invaded by Romans, he said,
Wait for it.
Don't disturb my circles.
True story.
the same way in the year of 500 AD, a Chinese scholar named Zhu Zhangzi divided a polygon with 12,288 sides, which led him to guess pi up to 6 digits.
Wow, you butchered that name with such confidence.
This record was held for almost 800 years. After that, this record was broken by this French dude, and I'm not going to pronounce his name because I'm gonna butcher it again, so yeah, why bother? He did the calculation with a polygon of 393,216 sides. 100 years later, a Dutch mathematician spent 25 years of his life to calculate pi using a polygon of 2 into 10 to the power 62 sides, which is 4 quintillion 611 quadrillion 686 trillion 18 billion 427 million 387,904 sides. By doing all that, he managed to figure out pi up to 35th decimal place. When he died, these numbers were written in his tombstone. After that, no one actually divided n-gons anymore. They started to use other ways to calculate pi. Let me give you an example. Like, your friend gave you some money. After some day, he is asking it back. But you actually forgot how much money you have to give him. You remember you had $70 before, and now you have $125. Mathematically, we can write this as x plus 70 equal to 125, where x is the amount of money you need to return to your friend. Now subtract 70 from both sides of the equation and you will have x equal to 55. This way of representing a number by an alphabet is called algebra. Originally, it was discovered by the Babylonians and then developed by Greek mathematicians, but revolutionized by this Persian dude named Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi.
You butchered that name again.
Dude. Uncool.
By the way, sidetrack. Do you remember how our life became so boring during the COVID pandemic? We were quarantined inside our house and we had nothing to do except watching Netflix and playing video games. Something similar happened in 1666 and Newton was quarantined inside his house because of the bubonic plague. But back then he didn't have Netflix or video games to play with. So he did what most of that Enlightenment age people do, play with mathematics. He built a separate branch of mathematics called calculus, and he also played with another mathematical formula called binomial theorem. Newton used n equal to half in binomial theorem, and there is a good reason for that. This is the equation of a unit circle. So the equation of a half circle is this. Now when you apply integration under the curve from 0 to 1, you have area of a quarter of a unit circle. Now area of a unit circle is pi r square, and as r equal to 1, so it is pi. As we have equation of a quarter, so we have the equation of pi divided by 4, and thus we have Newtonian pi series. If you calculate Newtonian pi series for 50 steps, you can go up to 36 decimal place in pi. What previously required 25 years of hard labor now can be done in one day. From that point, no one bisected n-gons anymore. Everyone started building their own pi series. After that, in 1699, Abraham Sharp calculated pi up to 71 digits, just being outdone by John Machine in 1706 up to 100 digits. Now it was not just a matter of fact that who has the most time to calculate pi, it was also about the person who can produce a better pi series. And right now we are using a pi series developed by an Indian prodigy mathematician. No, Isaac Barry, I'm not talking about you. Yeah, it's Ramanujan. Using his pi formula, a mechanical computer calculated pi up to 1120 digits back in 1949. But they bought a knife in a gunfight because that same year, electric computers came to play. From that point, we never stopped calculating pi, like just run the computer as long as you can. So yeah, just do that.
But now most of us don't need to use pi in our day-to-day life. And those who are working in scientific community, they also need to use pi between 4 to 10 decimal places. Then why bother calculating pi up to a trillionth decimal place and even more? It's not like that this number is going to stop someday. It is an irrational number.
Okay, there are a few reasons to do that. For example, you are in computer business and you make processors. You need to know if your shiny new computer is working properly or not. And one way to do that is to make it calculate pi, as there is already an answer to check with if the answer your computer is producing correct or not. If you run your computer for little longer than the previous person, then you will also have a casual world record for some days before it's broken by some other person like you. And lastly, the same reason why we swim across the ocean or climb the highest mountain. Just because we can. No other species on the planet can do that, but we can. We humans are weird. We do stuff that make no sense, but still we do that because we can. Making of this video took a lot of time and a lot of research. So if you enjoyed the video, please give a thumbs up. It will be highly motivating for me. Also press that subscribe button. That will also help me a lot. See you in the next video. Till then.
あらあら、さようなら。